Hey guys, Tyler here. In a previous Star Trek video, I examined the biology, history, and culture of the Changelings, shape-shifting aliens who founded a vast interstellar empire in the Milky Way's Gamma Quadrant called the Dominion. The Changelings, aka the Founders, created at least two servant races to help them impose their will on the cosmos. The Vorta, who act as administrators, and the Jem'Hadar, who are the soldiers of the Dominion. The Vorta are genetically engineered to serve and worship the Founders and are the commanders of Jem'Hadar units. In this video, I'd like to explore the Vorta in more detail, investigating their origins as well as their society. So without further ado, let's get started. According to legend, in the ancient past, the Changelings roamed the stars in peaceful exploration. Despite their good intentions, they were beaten, hunted, and killed by so-called solids, who feared the Changelings' shape-shifting abilities. On one planet, possibly the planet Kirill Prime in the Gamma Quadrant, a family of small, timid, ape-like forest dwellers hid a changeling from an angry mob. In return, the changeling promised that they would one day transform the species into powerful beings and place them at the head of a vast interstellar empire. This species? None other than the Vorta. The Founders would have recognized the young hominid's potential, bestowing them with abilities such as enhanced hearing and other less desirable traits, such as submissiveness when in the presence of a changeling. But these aren't the only traits that make the Vorta biologically distinct. All Vorta that we see also have pale skin, violet eyes, and elongated ears that are joined to the rest of their head. Their eyesight is comparatively weaker than other humanoid species, possibly the result of extra starlight from Kirill Prime's two suns, an F-class star and a G-class star. Their weaker eyesight would presumably have been compensated for by their enhanced hearing. The Vorta are also immune to most forms of poison, which Wayun states comes in handy as a diplomat. I would imagine it does. Even before they were genetically engineered, the Vorta also had a limited palate, mostly enjoying kava nuts and ripple berries. They generally have no appreciation for art. No time for such things when you're running an authoritarian interstellar empire. In addition to enhanced hearing and intelligence, some Vorta possess other capabilities beyond those of humans. Eris is the only Vorta shown on screen who possesses telekinesis, and she is able to produce telekinetic bursts with the same strength as a standard issue phaser set to stun. In later appearances, however, as the DS9 writers gave more thought to Vorta biology, they disregarded telekinesis by simply omitting it from subsequent outings. The writer's rationale was that the Founders may have given Eris telekinesis for a specific purpose, though Ronald D. Moore had stated on an earlier occasion that perhaps other Vorta are also telekinetic but had no situations in which it would come up. It's possible that telekinesis is a trait that is present in a fraction of the Vorta population, perhaps those who possess a particular recessive gene. However, given that the Vorta were engineered for a specific purpose, this explanation may be inadequate. The phenomenon of an advanced alien civilization altering other beings to make them more intelligent is called uplifting. It's a concept that's been present in science fiction since at least the late 19th century. Some examples include the novel The Island of Dr. Moreau by H.G. Wells, as well as later the Uplift universe created by David Brin, who also coined the term. The practice of uplifting can be achieved through evolutionary intervention or simply cultural and technological exchange. In DS9, though, it's clear that the Vorta were uplifted by the Changelings using genetic engineering. But is it even possible to uplift members of an animal species to human intelligence? Well, the short answer is, well, no, for now, but the long answer is, it's more complicated. Stay. Animal cognition is a widely studied field, influenced by other disciplines such as comparative and evolutionary psychology. Not only do we know that numerous animals, such as other apes, crows, and octopuses can use tools, but more broadly speaking, a wide variety of animal classes, mammals, reptiles, fish, and invertebrates alike, are all capable of learning and making sense of their surroundings. Of course, it's important to remember that when measuring intelligence, it's difficult often to remove bias, since intelligence doesn't just mean human-like behavior. All creatures are adapted to survive in their own environments, which has given rise to memes like crabs being more advanced than humans. But the act of enhancing animals' neurological activity does have a basis in real-world science. Case in point, in 2014, researchers at MIT discovered a human gene called FOXP2 that appears to be critical in humans' capacity for language. When the researchers genetically engineered mice to express FOXP2, the mice learned to run mazes more quickly than their normal counterparts. This suggests turning on FOXP2 helped the mice convert experiences into memories more efficiently. Another study at Wake Forest University in 2012 saw researchers use brain implants to help rhesus monkeys perform better on intelligence tests. The monkeys were given drugs to simulate Alzheimer's disease, which initially hindered their performance. But after being fitted with neural prosthetics, the monkeys quickly regained normal brain function. Furthermore, when the prosthetics were implanted into normal monkeys, they scored beyond their original results. God, it's Planet of the Apes. It should be noted that while these studies have provoked much speculation and debate about uplifting animals, it's still unclear as to whether it's really scientifically feasible to do so, let alone desirable. As Christine Hsu wrote for Yale Scientific, most animals' physiologies are not well suited for enhanced neural activity or intelligible communication. In practice, uplifting animals would, quote, require impossibly extreme modifications to nearly every aspect of their bodies and minds. The uplifting philosophy also assumes that human intelligence is the end goal of evolution, which, I mean, it's not. It's really not. Have you met the average person? Furthermore, there's the question of consent. By definition, uplifted animals would have been unable to express agreement or disagreement with neural enhancement procedures. Nevertheless, advocates of uplifting state that it would be unethical to withhold intelligence from other species. Perhaps the founders saw it as imperative to uplift the Vorta, with the express purpose, of course, of creating a servant race out of them. Indeed, this is a concern that some bioethicists have about granting human-level intelligence to other animals. There's a risk it would create a class of literally subhuman slaves, a trope that has appeared in numerous science fiction stories, such as Cordwainer Smith's The Instrumentality of Mankind. And indeed, that's pretty much exactly what the founders did with both the Vorta and the Jem'Hadar. You know, it takes a lot of skill to genetically engineer your own servant race. Which reminds me, how would you like to learn a new skill or enhance one of your existing ones, whether it's to start a new business or just as a hobby? Well, today's sponsor, Skillshare, can help you with that. Let's talk about it. Segway of the Year award, I'm expecting it in the mail tomorrow. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes and members all around the world. With classes like photography, illustration, graphic design, and more, Skillshare lets you find classes that match your goals and interests. For example, I just completed character design from first idea to final illustration with Josiah Brooks, aka Jazza, and I found it rather insightful. Even as my channel grows, I feel there are always new opportunities to learn. Ever since I decided to pick up drawing again to spice up some of my videos, Jazz's tutorials have helped me get back up to speed. Skillshare is ad-free, so you can stay in the zone while you're exploring new skills. New premium classes are launched each week, so there's always something new to discover. And Skillshare's entire catalog is now available with subtitles in Spanish, French, Portuguese, and German. The first 1,000 people to use the link in my description box or my code OrangeRiver will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Join today to invest in yourself and your personal growth. Big thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to the Vorta. The concept of uplifting isn't just confined to humans bestowing intelligence upon other Earth animals, however. In fact, perhaps a more apt analogy to the changelings in the Vorta is the ancient astronaut hypothesis. Many are familiar with the alleged existence of so-called ancient aliens, the idea being that humans in antiquity and prehistoric times were visited by extraterrestrials. These extraterrestrials supposedly gave early humans technology and possibly even created us, giving us the tools to build structures like the pyramids, because apparently humans couldn't build something like that on our own.
You think brown people made that? No fucking way, no.
The hypothesis has been popularized in no small part by the show Ancient Aliens on the History Channel. Not only has the show inspired memes galore,
did ancient aliens shape the first Thanksgiving?
But it's also garnered lots of flack for promoting pseudoscientific claims about ancient cultures, achievements, and belief systems. Of course, the ancient astronaut hypothesis isn't new by any means. In fact, a lot of the arguments associated with ancient astronauts originate from Erich von Daniken's 1968 book, Chariots of the Gods. Authors like von Daniken often use distorted interpretations of ancient texts to prove that early societies had contact with extraterrestrials and that these aliens were revered as gods. Azerbaijani author Zakaria Sitchin also wrote numerous books promoting the idea that the ancient Sumerian deities called the Anunnaki were actually an alien race from a planet called Nibiru. The Anunnaki allegedly created humans by mixing their DNA with that of Homo erectus via in vitro fertilization. The purpose of this was to create a slave species to mine gold, for some reason, and the Anunnaki only left Earth after their bases were destroyed by the Great Flood that inspired the Epic of Gilgamesh and the story of Noah in Genesis. Yeah, it sounds pretty dumb when you think about it. In Star Trek the original series, Gene Roddenberry generally shied away from giving credence to the ancient astronaut hypothesis. He insisted that in his vision of the Star Trek universe, humans' achievements were our own and not necessarily the result of outside help. Of course, multiple episodes of subsequent Trek shows have not shied away at all from embracing certain aspects of the ancient astronaut hypothesis, including the animated series How Sharper Than a Serpent's Tooth and Voyager's Tattoo, and to a limited extent Enterprise's Carbon Creek. So it seems that technological uplifting is actually relatively common in the Star Trek universe, and to a degree this does make sense. Star Trek's Milky Way is pretty crowded, bustling with thousands of alien species, many of which have had warp technology for millennia. So it's natural that some of them would use their technological prowess to tamper with the evolution of other races to suit their own ends. Above all else, one of the most distinctive aspects of Vorta biology is that they are all clones. If a Vorta is killed, they are replaced with a clone that retains all the memories and much of the personality of their predecessor. Vorta regard their previous incarnations as individuals distinct from themselves, often referring to previous clones by number or as my predecessor. Clones can also occasionally become defective, taking on different, undesired traits than previous clones. However, even non-defective clones can exhibit slightly different tastes and inclinations to other incarnations of the same Vorta. The science and ethics behind cloning in the Star Trek universe, and honestly in real life, may warrant an entire video of their own. But I think it's utterly fascinating that this is the way that Vorta are manufactured. To say that they're born is perhaps a misnomer. Not only do we never see any Vorta who are pregnant, but we never see any Vorta children either. As a matter of fact, Vorta are grown in cloning facilities. It's uncertain when this aspect of Vorta society was first introduced, whether it was independently developed by the Vorta themselves, or more likely, that it was a policy put in place by the founders. The concept of cloning a fully adult humanoid and implanting them with memories is, of course, distinctly different from attempts at cloning in real life. While some simple organisms like bacteria can clone themselves via binary fission, more complex animals like Dolly the sheep were created by taking a cell from Dolly's mother and inserting it into her ovum to create an embryo. The sheep then experienced a normal pregnancy and the embryo was brought to term. But inserting memories into the brain of a fully grown humanoid, while perhaps theoretically possible, requires an understanding of neuroscience and mastery of genetic engineering that we have definitely not yet achieved. Admittedly, I mainly focused on the Vorta's origins and biology in this video while only taking a cursory glance at their history. Of course, there's only so much that we know from canon, surprisingly little actually, and frankly, the Vorta being genetically uplifted clones is honestly one of the most interesting aspects of this extraterrestrial species. Indeed, it sets them apart from lots of other aliens in Star Trek. Their role as administrators of the Dominion and their undying loyalty to the Founders cement just how much of a threat they are. And in a future video, I'll examine the biology, history, and culture of the Dominion's first line of defense, the Jem'Hadar. In the meantime, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below and don't forget to share it. That stuff really helps me out. If you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to do that as well so you won't miss future uploads, and click the bell icon to receive all notifications. If you want to support my work even further, becoming a patron or a member is a great way to do so. Links to those, as well as my social media and merch store, are in the description. That's all I have for this week. Live long and prosper. And don't forget to abide by the order of things.